Good evening. Welcome to a new edition of Real World News TV. I'm one of your hosts, Reggie Kearney, and we have Chara and Tappin and Tony Breedlove with us. How you all doing this evening?
I'm doing Tuesday. That's how I'm doing. It feels like a Monday.
Okay. But tonight we're going to talk about some of the top stories that have taken place since the last time we got together. We're going to look at the George Floyd trial, distribution of COVID-19 vaccine, which seems to be a lot of disparity in the black neighborhoods or neighborhoods of color as far as people being to get the vaccines. And then we're going to talk about very briefly, many of you all may know, you might not know, that the Black Lives Matter movement has raised about $90 million last year. And conversation, what should it do with that $90 million? Okay, that's a lot of money for a civil rights organization that really lacks continuity when it comes to having a general board that oversees them on a national level. So that's going to be something to discuss. So to get things started tonight, I'm going to bring up an article real quick. It just popped up on my screen. Kind of amazed me to see the article and everything. Well, I can't find it right now, but I can talk about it. So a couple of weeks ago, Oprah interviewed Meghan Markle. I guess I got her name right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I understand she's been through a whole lot. I understand that, okay? Don't have no problem with it. But she wants to run for president of the United States in 2024 with the backing of the Democratic Party. Now, this is my feelings, my personal opinion. If Joe Biden decides not to run, that spot has been reserved for Kamala Harris. Okay, now, this is a free country and anybody can run who wants to run. But I think she's stepping a little far out there. And she said she felt like she got some tread, got some good rubber by being interviewed by Oprah. What are your thoughts? Because I think she needs to stand down. That's how I feel about it.
Where do you start? BT before Trump, before that Sarah Palin, before every other wacko that they put before us over the last 15 years to run for election, my first go-to response would be absolutely not qualified. Then, of course, we had the debacle of the last 4 years under Trump, and all the people that he put in place who were not qualified. She clearly does not have the experience and any sense of the imagination with respect to politics on a state level, let alone an international level. She's barely treading water in English politics, and that through no fault of her own necessarily. But I think one of the worst things done by the example set by Trump, not even talking about the devastation that his administration caused, is the sense that people feel like anybody could be president. It's no longer you can rise to that. You can accomplish enough in life to rise to that station. It was, I woke up on that side of the bed. I can be president. You've got the pillow guy talking about running. Meghan Markle. Now, one would hope she has more common sense, more of a moral and ethic foundation to work from than Trump does. But still, I'm just tired of these social experiments. No more. We need people who are qualified, educated, intelligent, understand the Constitution, understand the laws, understand this country, to run this country and to represent us on an international scale. I just don't see what Meghan thinks she's done with her life to give her that experience.
She was on the Oprah show.
Right. I was thinking the same thing.
And
that gives weight.
So was Dr. Phil. I wouldn't want him to be president.
But he
although he'd be better.
What I missed there?
What you think, Tony?
Well, you know what? Like you were saying, she was on the Oprah show. that in her mind gives her credence of being able to run. But like you said, anybody can run. I have to also agree with Chara. You know, we've had experience with someone who knew nothing about politics, nor the Constitution or anything. Hell, he didn't even know about how to lick a stamp and put it on a letter. So, you know, a lot of people say, you know, or might think just because she has had some sort of sit down with Oprah and that Oprah carries a lot of weight, that would make her now, you know, okay to run. No, it's not okay. Not everybody should think that they can just go ahead and throw their hat in the ring for
She
this.
can write a book. I'll support that.
Absolutely. She can write a book all day long. Yeah. But qualified, she's not.
No.
Yeah. And
she just got here in the U.S., what, a year ago?
Yeah. And the thing about it, she shouldn't expect Oprah to endorse her, because Oprah will endorse Kamala Harris if Joe doesn't run again. So you got to put your time in, okay? Mm-hmm. I mean, she's young enough to put her time in, but the time comes in by working with the Democratic Party, you know, working on the local level, the state level, maybe running for office, things of that nature, okay? And then she might be afforded the opportunity to do that one day, okay? But just to come out and say, you know, because you heard a cricket in the yard saying run for office, that you decide you're going to run for office. I mean, right. Will Smith is thinking about running for office. And I like Will, okay? I really do. But I just don't think he's built and ready to do it, okay? I feel the same way about him. He's got that experience working in Washington with the federal government to understand how the federal government works. If you look at what Joe has done as far as creating his cabinet, there are no outsiders that worked at a Purdue chicken farm or on the pig farm or anything like that. He has people that know how to work Washington, D.C., okay? And that's what he has.
One thing I will say, though, after I had that incredulous reaction, like, what are you kidding me? You know, the little devil on my shoulder was like, that would really shake things up, though, to have somebody in the White House who has ties to the English monarchy, that close to the English monarchy. And what, you know, Will, I don't know if he gave up his citizenship, you know, his English citizenship or not, but what kind of entanglements would that create if we were to, you know, imagine that actually happening? From that perspective, I'd be interested in seeing like a virtual reality rendition of what that reality could be like, but not enough to test the theory on actual reality.
I wouldn't want to see it. I would not even want to see it as a test run. Mm-hmm. Okay. Like Jacqueline said, everybody needs to stay in their lane. Mm-hmm. This is not their lane. Okay. We had enough mess of 4 years. I can't imagine the mess that would come with either two. I
guess since they had to give up their titles in England, the next best thing would be to come here and create a dynasty. You know, maybe they're looking to make themselves the new Kennedy family. But like Reggie said, put in your time, show the commitment to community, show the commitment to nation, do something that shows that you're committed to a political life of service, earn it. But they're nowhere near that right now.
Right. So Reggie, did it say anything other than she felt that she should run or she could run? Did it say anything other than just because she was on Oprah? I mean, did she cite anything about how the government is run now? Did she cite anything about the issues that we have not only here domestically but internationally? Did she cite anything?
No, she didn't. She didn't cite anything. It's just that she woke up. She woke up that morning after the Oprah show and felt like, hey, it's time for me to run for president. You know.
Well, you know what? I used to drink Tang, but I don't want to be an astronaut.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it. Anyway, yeah. I'm done.
Well, you know, she won't with no pedigree of experience under her belt, with nothing to say I've accomplished X, Y, and Z outside of some television shows and pissing off Pierce Morgan. She can't last long. Yeah, pretty much, Jacqueline. It would be it would be fodder for entertainment, but she wouldn't get far. And I think once she realized how much money would be required for her to create a brand and advertise and go and travel and all of that mishigas, they're not going to do that.
No. Because aren't they basically one step from being ousted by the rules?
Yes, they are. But see, this is what. Excuse me, anybody. Let me see who's watching. This is what pisses me off. Okay,
that's not bad.
That's not a bad word.
I'm looking at TMZ article. The orange head, whatever you want to call him now, who still thinks he's president of the United States. He wants to run. He wants to run against her. Okay. And what makes me so mad?
Of course he does.
He made it clear on Tuesday he's siding with the Queen over Meghan and said he's not a fan of Prince Harry's wife. Okay, so now you're gonna have Fox getting into this mix. Okay, he wants her to run so he can run against her and everything. You know, I mean, he might be in jail. You can't get out of jail on work release to run for president. Okay, that's the bottom line.
It's really starting to sound crazy.
Yeah.
Starting.
Like what's his boy's name in New York that turned on him? The lawyer.
You don't mean Giuliani.
No, that ain't Giuliani. I'm talking about he served some time. Law.
Cohen.
Cohen, yeah. Cohen said, you know, he's been interviewing with the current Manhattan district attorney. And he said the other day, he said, just watch and see. The orange head is going to spend some time in jail. He said the doors are opening it up for him.
Okay. I will take a week off of work to watch that trial.
Week off? I'll party for the rest of my life. We'll go to jail.
I don't know about the rest of my life, but I would be interested in watching that trial. But you know, he probably wouldn't testify on his behalf, and he'll try every trick in the book to muddy the waters.
Okay. That's okay. I hope they put him in the cell with Black Bubba. Okay, let her spend some time with Black Bubba. Okay, see what happens there.
Now he's got a federal prison. There are no Bubbas in federal prison.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. There's some lifers. There are some lifers in federal prison. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You go to federal prison because you up on federal charges. Okay.
But that don't mean that they don't have no, you know.
Yeah. That's true. They can get any kind of bubble. I don't care if it's a white bubble, Hispanic bubble, Polish bubble.
Really? You think anybody wants to look at that freckled, saggy, flat? Okay. You did it to me, so I'm doing it right back. Okay.
Okay. Moving on. George Floyd case. Okay.
Oh boy.
Do you think the families in all these kind of cases, because they did the same thing here in Baltimore, with the young man who was killed in Baltimore, and the family received the money before the trial got started, the officers ended up getting off. Do you think the money should come after the trial or any time before the trial?
I'd say after.
Why?
Yeah. Well, I'm thinking it influences the jury.
Go ahead, Reggie.
Yeah, I think it influences the jury because the jury might say, look, the city's already taken care of. It's obvious they're guilty. We might well just let this officer go. I don't know.
Well, the judge is considering the defense's motion to postpone the trial out of fear that the $27 million settlement will, taint the jury. My fear is if they hold off on giving it to them, they'll never get it. They'll find some nuance or some reason to retract it. Suppose they have the case.
Not if it's ruled on.
Yeah, the city council.
They voted for it.
Yeah, the city council has approved the money. It can go either way. Like I said, in Baltimore, it went in favor of the officers. Okay, You know, the officers end up getting off of everything. Okay, so it can go either way with that money. Now, I've been listening to the jury selection. I don't think that they're picking about it today. I don't know. I didn't hear anything on the news, but they only have one. They only have one black person. They have one lady, and they have 5 people in all, or 6 people, something like that. But the rest of them are white males that have various views of Black Lives Movement and the so-called Blue Lives Matter. You know, so it's a mixed bag. Okay, but what the defense is trying to do now, along with what you said, Cheryl, is try to paint a picture that moving this trial would give him a better chance. Okay, everybody in this country knows about George Floyd. Okay, I don't care if you move to Cuba, somebody's gonna know in Cuba about George Floyd.
They were protesting all over the world, so who would not know?
Literally. I mean, look, it seems like an open and shut case. Fired, $27 million settlement agreed to by the city. The actions went expressly against the Minneapolis policy for neck restraints while somebody's in handcuffs and not resisting. I just, on the one hand, you've got the defense attorney arguing that the fact that Chauvin was terminated, or that there's a settlement agreement, or that he had prior issues or complaints against him because of brutality would be prejudicial. But on the flip side of that coin, they want to bring up an arrest for Floyd from the year prior. Completely unrelated. So you can't have it both ways. Either prior acts and history showing a pattern of behavior is relevant on both sides, or none. But at the end of the day, I don't see how an arrest in 2019, regardless of whether or not the circumstances are similar, justify this man's kneeing on this guy's neck for 9 minutes. None of those other elements change that fact. And the medical examiner's office, while they did acknowledge that there were drugs in his system, clearly state that his death was attributed to the man's kneeing on his neck for 9 minutes. So I cannot see this being a drawn out case unless the judge capitulates.
Right. You know what? We've been here before, right? Have we or have we not?
More times than we care to count.
Exactly. And those times that we've been here before, I think that even in past shows, I think that we all had hopes that this was an open and closed case. The evidence presented itself as strong, and the prosecution had the case in the bag to put this person away that had, blatantly and outright killed a black man who had not deserved to die, no matter what his past tells you. Been here before. I'm not going to say this is an open and closed case, because we have been here before, no matter, because look, we're already starting out with a jury that looks like it's going to be potentially white. Okay?
I have to think that someday, though, we're going to hit a threshold for this shit.
No, and it's not going to happen on this case. And the reason why it's not going to happen on this case is because there is a way that they want us as black people to be able to sit in a corner and not say a thing. They want us to get in line, just like they wanted us to get off of slave ships and assimilate, okay? They wanted us to be a part of their system. This is not going away by George Floyd's case. And I can guarantee it. I can almost see that this is going to end up the same way. Now, if it does not, then I've got hope for the next black boy or the next black woman or man who is killed in the streets by a cop. That's the only way I see it. But history, as I have seen it in 60 years, no. This is going to be another case of, oh, shit, another dead Negro in the street. We don't give a shit. Excuse me, y'all.
No,
over the years,
I don't disagree. I'm just hopeful that we hit that threshold at some point where we collectively say enough is enough and continue. Like the summer of protests, While in some part were scary and disturbing, in other parts they were so heartening to see that that steam did not die all summer. Every single night I had people outside my apartment going down 3rd Avenue, up 3rd Avenue, protesting. And no, the city wasn't decimated. You know, there was one night of looting, which is really ridiculous, and I don't attribute that to BLM, but you know, we kept that fight moving forward. And I hope that if for some inexplicable, albeit predictable reason, the case goes as it has historically, that same fervor will start up again. We have to maintain the momentum.
Let me tell you
so
something.
the momentum is not, I mean, the momentum is going to be there. This is just going to give another reason for Blacks to continue to try and get things straight on the books. This is going to be another reason for us to start uniting, not just Black folks, but white folks as well. Because see, now you've got an opportunity of seeing this case. You still have, what's the child's name? Ahmaud Arbery. Still got that case. You still got other cases behind George Floyd's case, okay? But unfortunately, it's going to get to a point where it's not going to be just Black folks that are going to be brutalized and killed in the streets. Because now you're opening up the door. If this case doesn't go the way we want it to go, you're opening up the door for cops to just go out here and kill anybody. But not until they start putting more white folks in the ground because of the hands of the police and their racial intentions will something be done.
Yeah.
This is not, Blacks aren't, that's not enough power for us to change it all with one case. It's not going to happen that way. It's going to happen when they start seeing more white folks that have been brutalized and killed in the streets along with Black people. Because now you got more whites and other racial groups who are sticking behind Blacks because they see the injustices.
Yeah.
So not until you see more white folks being shot down in the streets by cops, that's when it's going to change.
Yeah.
Well,
Only when it affects their own.
Well, one of the things, okay, two things to look at. If they don't convict them, America will burn. Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I say that in all seriousness. This is gonna be. You think January 6th was an issue? Okay. If George Floyd case doesn't turn out and this guy doesn't get convicted, the United States is going to burn. I just hate to say that. That's where it is now. Okay. Now, if you had been a prosecutor and the defense said, "Look, we'll plead out right now for manslaughter," would you have taken it?
How many years to get for manslaughter?
I thought maybe it was 15
Yeah, 10 to 15 years. Would you have gone and just taken that? At least getting a guilty verdict and putting him in jail. Yeah, he's gonna come back.
No chance of parole.
You don't. No, he would still got parole. He could get parole. But the thing is, either way we go, if he found guilty of murder now, he could possibly spend the rest of his life in jail. Okay. Now, manslaughter, he would probably did 10 to 15 years. Okay. But to get a guilty verdict, to have a guilty verdict on his record, would you have gone for the manslaughter after they gave that to you on the table?
That's a tough one to answer.
It is.
Because you want him to get the maximum. And, you know, emotionally, I want him in jail for life. I want him to die in jail. Politically, I see what you're saying. If we get a guilty verdict on the books, it might help turn the tide and make it easier for other municipalities potentially to issue a guilty verdict. I think the fear there would be if you turn down manslaughter and then he gets off, you've got nothing.
Right.
Because
that's a double-edged sword.
Yeah, he didn't turn it down. His people bought it to him because they were trying to vote. It's a 50-50 chance that he's going to be found guilty of murder, and he's going to have to spend most of his life in jail. Okay, so I guess his lawyers were looking at, well, if we can get the city to bite on the manslaughter charge, then you go in for 10 or 15 years, you come out, you still got some life. Now, that to me shows that he does admit that he's guilty of doing something that he wasn't supposed to do.
Yeah, if he has to allocate, yeah.
Yeah, but this was the thing. The lawyer said you have to let me know by the end of the business day, okay? And the prosecutor said, no, you're not going to pressure me to just come and make a snap decision on what to give you, okay? Because he was ready to pack his bags up and go to prison right then and there. But he's trying to keep himself out. So he's put himself out there that he's guilty of something, okay? But the thing is, when it comes down to the jury, you don't need but one person to jack up the jury and it's a mistrial.
Yeah. I don't know. A manslaughter charge would not be enough for Black America. It just wouldn't.
But you get a guilty plea. Okay, so we don't know.
If he allocutes and admits for the record, for national TV, for international TV, I did something wrong, I murdered this man, that might help me opt for that.
Wouldn't help me.
But yeah, no. You know, just the thought that he could get up on probation in 5 years or whatever, it just irks me.
Yes.
So that would be a really hard thing as a family member. If I were given that as an option, I don't know. There's a part of me that as a family member, I'd want it to be over so that I can move on and focus on positive things about my child who I lost and invest my time in the community and do uplifting things like that rather than being dragged through the trenches every week, every day, every minute, wondering what new bit of evidence is going to turn the tide. On that emotional level, I can see making that decision to say, yes, let's do this. But otherwise that'd be really hard.
Yeah. And it's a tough thing because if you look at all the killings of Black men and Black women at the hands of the police, and I think it might have been somewhere between 15, 16, 17, something like that, only 3 police officers have gotten convicted. Okay? The odds are against us getting justice for these people. Okay? We done seen with the Breonna Taylor case that the state's attorney decided, hey, look, the attorney general decided, look, we're not discussing Breonna Taylor's murder. We're here to discuss what the police officers did. He pretty much told them that. Then lied about it, okay? I'm hoping that the Biden administration will open up a federal case concerning Breonna Taylor and convict these officers on federal charges.
Yeah.
We can only hope.
Yeah.
Hey, we can only hope.
Yeah, I think.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it will. It's going to be investigated.
That would be great, but would that kick up any dust with the states' rights folks saying that the federal government is superseding their right on a state level?
Federal cases don't have a daggone thing to do with state cases. Because the federal laws are much tougher.
Okay. Oh no, I get that. But if we were to usurp their authority in this matter and say we will now make this a federal case, or how about this? Say they get off on the state case. Can there still be a federal case?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they got some officers on federal charges because they couldn't get them on state charges. Okay. Then they bought basically they say that the person who passed away's rights were violated. Okay. So they can definitely go after them. Okay. So look, moving along away from this, before we talk about the BLM movement, what you think about what's I can't even think of it. Kirk Franklin and his son.
I didn't bother with it.
I like that one.
I'm just now hearing all of the particulars about the Kirk Franklin issue. So it is true, because I'm thinking, is this a joke?
Did he cursed out his son?
But it is true.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
That his son basically courted their altercation.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was cursing up a storm. Is that what was going on?
He called him, excuse the expression, he called him a bitch ass nigga, okay?
But come on, Christian doesn't mean that you don't lose your temper.
Right. So many people gotten upset about it. But this is my thing. Him and his son have had a contentious relationship, okay? And I'm pretty sure the son, I'm pretty sure the son has the attitude is that, look, Dad, you got this and you got that. Can't you take care of your son and let your son have some of this? And I'm pretty sure that's probably just of some of the conversation that went on to get him upset. Because the son probably said, well, you don't do nothing for me. You don't do this and do that. You can do this and do that, okay?
How old is his son?
33 years old.
And what's he doing with his life?
He's probably trying to be a leech, okay? But hey, it happens, okay? So he cussed him out. Okay, what else is new on the sun? I mean, he better be glad he didn't get
I don't know why we are holding. Yeah, but the thing is I couldn't understand why are we holding Kirk Franklin as a celebrity, as a gospel singer, as a Christian? Why are we holding him in such high regard that it has to be a big deal the way that he either disciplines his grown-ass son or how he's his grown-ass son? Why is that such a big deal when you find the majority of young people today just not doing anything, and they feel entitled to your money, your earned? Why are we making such a big deal of this? He's a father. He's a father, and he has to do what he has to do. It doesn't make sense to me. That's why I thought, is this a joke? Because I couldn't get my head wrapped around it.
The only thing I can think of is this expectation that people of the cloth are expected to rise above, primal outbursts, and like what my dog is having right now. I'm sorry about that, guys. So he doesn't owe us anything.
No,
I agree with that.
So Derek says, I don't think we in high regard. It was that Kurt felt the need to apologize, and he owed us no apology for being human. Totally agree with, especially that last part. He owed us no apology.
And that's all it was. His son, Kurt would have never cussed his son out if his son hadn't put him in a position to get cussed out, okay? And the son was wrong for recording. It was like he was going in to egg him on and to put something out there that he said, "Oh, I can hurt my father. He won't do this for me. He won't do that for me. So I think I'll hurt him." He doesn't realize.
Knows the story
instead of us looking at the son, but instead of us looking at the son and thinking, "Spoiled ass brat," really at 33.
Yeah, but I don't know as much as you guys do about Kirk Franklin and his family, but after what little you have said, I'm offended by the son. So if anything, I think he's just assed out. He's just put his ass out there, and he thought he was doing something, but he's just making himself look like an entitled freeloader. You're a 33-year-old man. Make your own fortune.
Yeah. So the son loses his the son loses his car to the next picnic. Okay, sorry. Got to go. You can't come to the next picnic.
You can sit him next to Stacey Dash and her apology.
Oh Lord, okay. Let's talk about Stacey. Stacey don't get no car back. She can't come back to the family. She's not gonna stay with the white family. Okay, I'm sorry. She's out. She's completely out. I
gotta agree with you, Reggie.
She has done it. When you look at the interview she gave during the campaign, saying that we need to get rid of BET. We need to get rid of the NWC Image Awards. We need to get rid of anything that deals with blackness. Oh, girl, go get some Clorox, pull it over yourself, get some bleach cream, change your looks, and you go be with them, okay?
Did you see how much she was sweating during that interview?
Get on with the
She was positively drenched during that interview. And all I could think to myself was, this woman can't get a job. She hasn't had an acting gig since what, Sharknado or something stupid like that. Fox News isn't going to take her. She's probably already applied to Newsmax and OAN. You know, and the messed up thing is, I didn't disagree with some of the things that she said, but just like people on the right always do, they take a reasonable soundbite. It's like any sociopath, right? They don't know how to feel the emotions, they mimic them. So she starts going on about living in that place of anger and hate, and you can't maintain that, and blah, blah, blah. And philosophically, I agree with that, and I get that. But I'm not selling what she's cooking. Because she was on that bandwagon, hook, line, and sinker, and looked for any opportunity that she could go out and bash the community. So, yeah, no, I'm not buying it. You made your bed, lie in it, move to another country if you have to.
And then her boyfriend.
We taking her black card and her picnic card.
Yeah, and look,
Jesus.
And then her boyfriend yesterday, Ben Carson made a comment. He compares criticism of black conservatives to runaway slaves. Okay.
You know, I just wish these people would just, pardon me, I'm going to channel my inner breed love and say, shut the fuck up. Like, if you don't know the history of what you're talking about, don't flap at the gums, because you don't know what you're talking about. These analogies, the right wingers saying, you know, the Democrats are Nazis, and it's just like, it's topsy-turvy. I can't deal with it anymore. Shut up. You're showing your ignorance. Somebody said to me the other day, because I made a comment about that stupid Pepe Le Pew cartoon, which always made me feel uncomfortable. And they're like, oh, you've got cognitive dissonance. And I started to laugh out loud. I'm like, boy, you don't even know what cognitive dissonance means. Like, just zip it. Stop trying to sound intelligent. Give up. Move on. Stick to your cartoons.
Oh my God.
We got a mess going on out here. But yeah, Stacey Dash, she wants to come back to the cookout this summer. The answer is no. Stacey, keep going. The way she talked about black people when she was on that Fox interview, no.
Please, Rachel Dolezal has a better chance of getting her ticket back than Stacey Dash does.
She ain't gonna get her ticket back yet, because she can't let go of her blackness and admit that she's white. They had an interview on her probably back in the end of the year, and she's still talking about she black. Okay, so
yeah,
she's gonna die black,
because I think now she's basically almost penniless, isn't she? I saw something on her. It was late last year, and basically she's penniless, depending on the help of neighbors and friends and all of this to pay the house note and all kind of different things.
Hair. I think she wrote a book.
Yeah, but it's not doing well.
Hey, we ought to get her on the show one night just to find out and just talk to her about why did she want to become black so bad. But we already know that being black is the greatest thing you can do in this world.
Hey, maybe she was in her last life and she never got over it, and she still feels that. Right. I don't know. But you know what? Even after her lies, she did work in the community. She did support the community. She did.
I would welcome her before Stacey.
Yeah,
I would welcome her before Stacey.
She put in the time, unlike Merkel, right? Whatever her name is, she put in the time. She was committed to the cause. And so from that perspective, I do have a degree of empathy for her, because clearly she's got an issue, whether it's psychological, emotional, spiritual, whatever it is, but she did the work. She did the work in school, she got the academic background, and she did the work in the community. And for that, I kind of feel like if there could just be some kind of an impasse, either we give her a card, for God's sake, because she's so invested in the community, and just call it a day, or she has a come to Jesus moment and says, okay, yes, I'm really Polish American, but whatever. But Stacey Dash and those folks, no, done and dusted.
Yeah.
No.
Hey, did y'all watch The Bachelor last night?
If anybody knows wait a minute, Reggie. So if anybody knows Miss Dolezal, please reach out to her, tell her Black Power, and We would love to have her on the show, and
it
we're
would be
going to give
respectful.
her the black card for the picnic and the black card for the black folk, because Stacy's a goner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
We got room. We got
But
room
what
at
y'all
the
think
table.
about what was y'all thinking about The Bachelor?
Oh my God. I never watched that. And my husband just happened to turn the channel, and I did a double take because somebody at work recently told me about this drama. Do you know about it, Tony?
Oh, really?
So there's the
Not
first black bachelor on the show. And you know how they put everybody in seclusion during the show so nobody knows what's going on. Apparently, one of the final two contestants, a white girl, so it was a black girl and a white girl, people were outing her left, right, and center for posting MAGA memes, in support of Trump, QAnon.
She was a racist. She was just basic racist.
I was getting there. She was making fun of her friends for dating black people, saying she would never date a black man. She went to antebellum parties. She did everything somebody who grew up in the South would do. And here she is on a national TV show vying for the affections of the first black bachelor. And so it's all show. It's all bullshit. And then there was this lovely African-American woman who was a teacher. She wanted to have a family. She was a good girl. I really liked her. And I'm like, he's going to pick this chick. I know it. And so, for the finale.
Don't tell me.
Okay, you got to watch it. You got to watch it. Let's just say that it was the 2021 moment for awkward silences. You have got to watch it.
Really?
But this is the thing. Tony, get over it. But this is the thing. She really thought it was going to work out, okay? She really thought it was going to work out.
Oh, she thought they were going to buy her shit. That's what she thought.
Yeah. If you saw the interview, I saw the interview this morning on ABC News. Huh?
She doesn't want to know who you are.
It's out there. It's on the news. She really thought he was going to reconcile.
No, I'm not going to look for the news.
And work it out.
Okay, I'm going to get off.
No. Well, you're still going to hear him. You're going to still hear him talking. But yeah, no, I watched that just for the oh shit factor to see what happened.
Yeah.
But he stepped in it. What'd be interesting is to get him on the show to find out what was going on in his head while he was sitting on that stage. Because clearly he had some kind of a struggle with what his little brain wanted and what his big brain wanted and doing what was right.
This is my thing. Love is love. You love whoever you want to. I don't care if you love a eight.
How long are they on that show? How many weeks? How many weeks do they film that show?
It's quite a few. It's almost like 3 or 4 months or something like that.
I'm sorry. I just don't buy actually falling in love with somebody under those circumstances.
But this is the thing.
There's more money being thrown at you for fancy gifts and fancy dinners and all this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to share your time with other people. So you might get 10 minutes at a pop, maybe an hour date once in a while. I outside of the desire to become famous, I don't understand why anybody would put themselves in that circumstance and feel like you're being pimped out. No, it's
the money. It's a money factor. And I don't know why I think everybody knew for the last month or so that he had picked this girl, okay? Now, why did the stuff come out? Did ABC leak the stuff or did one of her friends leak it? Oh,
people she went to college with hit her up. They were blowing up social media.
Mm-hmm.
But Tony doesn't want to hear this.
This is 2 days old news, okay?
Look, Reggie, we got 10 more minutes. So what do you think about Michael Brown's family asking for $20 million from BLM?
Well, going back to that situation and going back to The Bachelor, where the girl decided,
Don't do that too. Okay, don't do that.
They raised $90 million for the year 2020, okay? Which is a great amount of money to raise, okay? Now, they're an organization that is not an organization because they don't have a corporate body, because the movement, each city has their own Black Lives Matter movement, okay? But the group of young ladies who got Black Lives Matter movement started, I guess they do have a foundation set up to receive money, okay? Now, my feeling is they need, and like Michael Brown's father said, this movement came about because of the killing of my son.
No, but that's not 100% true.
Well,
That's
listen,
not 100% true.
wait. You asked me a question and listen, okay?
Okay, go ahead.
Now, a lot happened in Ferguson. Ferguson is a town that really needs a lot of help. They don't have nothing for the kids to do. It's right outside of St. Louis. It's a tough way to go. I don't think they should get $20 million, but I do think Black Lives Matter should make an investment into the community for a community center, outreach programs that benefit the community.
Okay.
I really think.
All right.
But I think $20 million is a lot of money.
Do you know how they've spent any of their money so far? They have donated, let's see 27%. Here. Let's see here. Where is it? So they've got 21.7 million to 30 organizations and local chapters of BLM, 22 of which are led by members of the LGBT community. And they've outlined in their report how they're going to use the money to impact global partners, grassroots voting efforts, and like the Georgia runoff, and future plans in terms of anti-racism policy and things of that nature. My issue with this, now I do agree, first of all, they started in 2013 after Trayvon Martin. And they gained more, they got recognition in 2021 for Nobel Peace Prize, we know about that. And like after 2013, there was just a snowball of events. It seemed like weekly, and we did shows on this, weekly, there were African Americans, women and men being killed, shot, or what have you. Michael Brown is an unfortunate one of many. You know, Sandra Bland, Aubrey, we mentioned earlier, Michael Brown, George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. No one death resulted in the raising of that $90 million. But the other issue that I have that left bad flavor in my mouth is that the guy who was sort of speaking at the left hand of Mr. Brown's father, the CEO for IBFA, the International Black Freedoms Alliance, an organization that predates BLM, is a part of this ask for this $20 million. And it's like, well, you have your own nonprofit organization and you've existed longer than BLM. What about your fundraising efforts? You know, why is it that this organization that happened to be successful in terms of its branding and fundraising, why do they feel entitled to money that was given to BLM? Now, I do agree that BLM, and they appear to be doing so, and Derek said we should see, you know, they should make it public so you can see it, but invest in communities, let it be seen. Which communities are you investing in? Which communities need it more? But to kind of demand it, and because he says to him, we're not begging for a handout, we're coming for what we deserve. Why do you deserve that from another organization that was more successful in fundraising than yours was?
It's not even about that. I really didn't get hooked on Black Lives Matter movement until Ferguson, to Michael Brown. And let me tell you something they did, okay? That really pissed me off, okay? Let me tell you something they did. When we marched in Washington for Trayvon and for Michael Ferguson, and was one other person, okay? We got down to the stage and everything was going good, okay? You know, Al Sharpton organization put on that march, okay? It was a coming together of the parents and, you know, the lawyers. The parents spoke very eloquently. It was a great event, okay? Now, Sharpton said, okay, we were down there for a couple hours. We done had a great event, you know, time to go home, okay? Blah, 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 blah. You know, them young ladies from BLM jumped up on the stage, grabbed the mic and said, we ain't finished yet, okay? That's the attitude, okay? That was the first, doing Michael Ferguson was the first time I had contact with BLM, okay? I understand that the young people's vision of how to handle things is much different than what the older people are, okay? I know they're much passionate, and the passion is good to have the passion, okay? You know, but they've kind of walked in and told the older established people of the movement, look, sit back and we want to do things our way. I want to know who donated the $90 million, okay? I really do want to know, okay? Because this is the thing. No organization, none of the old organizations are raising $90 million in one shot in 1 year. Okay.
Yeah.
That,
So
the
that's the question.
The CBS News article said that the 90 million, let's see, raised more than 90 million in 2020 with an average donation of about $30. So
I didn't get no letter in the mail.
it comes across as though this was, raised by your average Joe donating $30 or more or less. Millions were donated to local organizations. Their website had a 5,000% increase in traffic with an overall 21 million visiting the website to learn more during the second half of 2020. 10% were reoccurring donations, 8.4 million went to operating costs, and they committed 23% to total assets, leaving it with a fiscal balance of 60 million.
That's still a lot of money for a Black organization that doesn't have that kind of impact on the Black community. Okay? They have had some good moments in the community, but where are they now? Okay? What are they doing now? Okay? Have they been to Georgia? Did they work with Stacey Abrams? Did they give Stacey some money? Did they give all the other organizations that were trying to fight for voting, fight for African Americans, did they give them money?
My understanding is last year they did donate. I thought that they had donated to some Democratic Party members, but I think that was later.
I'm just curious, okay? I'm just curious on how the money was raised, who have they donated to, because they still, even at $60 million, they still send them a lot of money. And I'm pretty sure. But again,
regardless of, but this isn't about young folk versus the old folk. This is about whether or not another group or individual is literally entitled to money given to this organization. That's what this is about.
They need to look, like Derek said, has any family ever demanded money from the Rainbow Coalition? Did anybody call Jesse Jackson up back in the day and said, Jesse, you owe our community some money because this is what happened in our community and this was a catalyst for getting the Rainbow Coalition together, okay? Jesse was smart enough and he did a great job of spreading himself and the money around the country, okay? Mm-hmm. That's what he did, okay? I haven't seen nothing. They got to show me on paper, okay? Because this came out of the blue about this $90 million because someone tipped off the news, the news industry and said, look, did y'all know that Black Lives Matter raised $90 million?
Well, let's backpedal for a second, right? Let's put away a portion of this subject for 1 second and say, if you want to ask who would tip off, aside from people in the community wanting money to be reinvested in the community, who else do you think would be very disturbed by an African-American run organization raising that kind of money, knowing that that money could be spent not only on the community level, but influencing politics? Gee, I wonder who. So it doesn't surprise me if it were in fact leaked, who it would have been leaked by, because they've never wanted to see our groups, our kinfolks uniting, organizing, raising money, and being successful at it. I'm surprised they don't go after the churches more for that reason. Well, so it doesn't surprise me.
I think the leak came out of the organization, okay? Like I said, I was unaware that they were out here raising $90 million, okay? Then all of a sudden it hits the fan. So that was someone from the inside. That was a dispute about how the money was going to be used and things of that nature. And I guess that person walked down and said, look, I'm going to let the world know that y'all got $90 million.
That seems like speculation, though. We don't know that.
Okay, what white person would know how much money they raised? It's a private organization, okay?
I don't know. Who does their taxes?
Who
would have filed a
They probably do everything. Chara,
who works at the bank where that money is deposited?
Chara, I've been out here on the
Reggie
for years. Okay, I never heard they were raising money, never heard nothing about it until it hit the press. So that's why I'm saying it was an inside job, because someone was irritated and teed off about the direction and they leaked it. Okay, because if it was a happy family, we still wouldn't know about them raising $90 million.
I hear what you're saying, but I'm still saying that that's not a fact. That's conjecture. That's all I'm saying.
It can be conjecture. It can be a feeling or whatever you want to say. Okay. Someone leaked it out the organization. Okay. because no one outside the organization was aware that they had raised $90 million. Someone told Michael Brown's father, you need to go get some of that money that the Black Lives Matter movement has.
I don't know. The IRS would know. The banks would know.
There
are other entities.
You don't have to. Okay, my church, we don't tell the whole community how much money we got in the bank. We're a nonprofit. We file our taxes. We do our paperwork.
Yeah,
and
but
everything.
you're a church. You're not a
But we
political
still
entity
don't
that
have
threatens white America.
We still don't go out and tell we still don't go out and tell the community our business. Okay, they don't owe the community anything. Okay, they should, but they don't. Chris says, "I really don't believe in." Wait, put Chris. Chris said, "I really don't believe in." Okay. I really don't believe in any of the organizations that have anything to do with African Americans. Chicago has been out of control far too long. Okay, so that's why I say is if you look at every civil rights movement or organization that's been around, when the internal conflict didn't come from whites, it came from other African Americans, other black people of color in the organization.
I don't think it's that black and white, for lack of a better word. I mean, we look at what happened with black organizations in the 50s and 60s that were infiltrated by who? By other black people. But who were paid by who? White government.
They didn't never get paid.
White government officials who paid them to infiltrate. So it's never that simple is all that I'm saying.
Well, all I'm saying, we're not on private organizations or nonprofit organizations. We're not on the corner, and I'm part of a number of nonprofit organizations. We're not on the corner with our cardboard paper with our mount on and saying, "Look, this is how much money we got in the bank." Okay.
But you're also not a threat to white America, and BLM is.
But again,
brand
like I
wise,
said,
it is.
Someone in the organization leaked the information because I was unaware. I didn't even think they were that organized to even have $90 million. And that's what the 99% of the public feel, how they feel. They did not know they were that organized.
But were they entitled to know that? I mean, it's good branding. It would have been good if they had advertised that. But are they entitled to know that?
We don't know that because nonprofits, we don't go out and spill the tea. So no, we didn't know.
So we can't be upset or be incredulous. It doesn't surprise me. After the summer that we had and the amount of protests that we had, I'm actually not surprised, and I'm very heartened that many people contributed that much money. Now, what I hope is that money finds its way back into the communities that need it, into programs that need it, into supporting reform that we need, into supporting getting officials elected so that we can get the reforms that we need. That's how I want to see that money. Cross your legs too. That's how I want to see it.
I'm gonna tell you, give it another year and the stuff gonna hit the fan with them. Okay, I'm telling you, it's gonna hit. Something's gonna happen.
Knock on wood. I'd like to believe for a moment that our people will get it right once.
Have we? No. We somehow a ball gets dropped on our heads every time we try to do something that's very positive. Something comes out of that organization and you say, I told you they should never have $90 million. Okay. So we'll see.
And again, we've talked about this in prior shows, and it's the last comment I'm going to make because I know we're over, but we've talked about this in prior shows. When we get organizations or groups that seem to start making headway, or an individual that's rising up, and what do their kinfolk do but talk them down? Oh, they shouldn't do that. They can't do that. Why are they doing that? Why can they get away with doing that? And that's kind of what we're doing right now. So instead of supporting the organization, saying, hey, look, why don't you hire such and such to develop your programs and make sure that this money is being spent the way it should, instead of sitting on the sidelines, pointing our fingers with suspicion that's been fed to us by the media and saying, I'm suddenly holding you suspicious. What are you doing with that money? You don't know what you're doing. We don't question white fundraisers when they were successful in raising this money. And 9 times, just as frequently, you get them using it for fraudulent purposes as well. So I'd like to give these folks a shot and see if they can do it right.
I like what this. Who's this young man here? Ozadiah.
That's coming out of YouTube. So you guys are broadcasting for YouTube.
I like what he said. I like what he said. Okay, because this is a whole nother show. What he said. Okay, and I have my reasons for saying this when it comes to the BLM movement. Okay, and some of what he says I agree with, and that's a whole nother show. Because if I put this out there, we're gonna go another 30 minutes, but the show is over. Okay.
Yeah, so we can't do it. So I'm gonna hope I'm pronouncing this right. Obsidian. Hopefully you'll be watching in. Make sure that you follow Real World News there on YouTube under HTTR Network. That's the Hot Topics Talk Radio Network, or you can find them on Facebook and follow them there so you get notification of the shows and if that show is going to come up. That's an idea that you just gave Reggie. So we thank you for that.
I would say part of it, but that's another show, and I would love to do that part of the show.
Oh my God. So good conversation tonight, y'all. Very enjoyable. I like when you guys, you know what, it's good to get away from just total politics. You know, it's good. Now we can concentrate a little bit more on some of the news that's going on, other than just, you know, political issues. So I'm glad to get away from that platform a little bit. But great show. Anything else?
It went fast. Yeah, reach out to Truth Brothers because they hit on a hot topic the other day that had people.
What was it?
Really responding in droves. It was an image of a woman rolling over and a man like approaching her, and she's like, "No, I have a headache." And you know the question, and basically, what long is too long, and it delved into the whole discussion of, you know, people withholding sex because they don't feel like it, or they have a headache, or they're mad, or they're upset, or they have emotional problems, or whatever it is. And it turned into, like, you had a group of people who are like, well, the woman needs to get her head straight because, you know, we have obligations in a relationship, and other people going, well, the man should, you know, invest emotionally in the woman to find out what's wrong and why she may be withholding. And I mean, it just blew up. So I think it would make for a very interesting show. For them,
yeah,
not on Real World News, for them.
Right. Well, they got a great show that's coming up on Thursday, so I'm hoping that people will tune into that. But again, thank you so much. I gotta put this up. So
I know, I
just average
that.
Kid, before we leave. Yeah, I want to put this up before we leave. So just your average kid has the last word. He says, why are we blacks glorifying the thug culture if George Floyd was no angel? He robbed a pregnant black woman at gunpoint, and we are marching for Floyd. Shameful. So I wanted to put that up because some people feel that way. That would be another good one. You know, why are we glorifying?
We're not glorifying him. We're not glorifying him. We're not glorifying his life. We're not glorifying his crimes.
Okay,
we're talking about his manner of death.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about, just your average kid. It's not even about, you know, it's about how he died. Okay?
Is how
now,
we're not how he was murdered. Not how he died, how he was murdered.
Okay. Yeah. That was the last word of the day. Thank you, Just Your Average Kid. We enjoyed every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. You can find Real World News on Facebook under Real World News TV. This show happens every Tuesday night with Reggie, Kearney, and Chara and Tappin. I just appreciate them letting me sit in for a minute. Hadn't done it in a while. But you can find them here every Tuesday night. So go on Facebook, follow them, send them show ideas. What do you want to talk about? Anything, you know, it has to do with our national news around the world and country. Tomorrow night. Okay.
No, I just want to say, what was that young man's name just now?
Just Your Average Kid.
Yeah, he needs to send his information to our website, our Facebook page. You know, we need to continue this conversation next week. And I want to know why he feels the way he feels.
That we're glorifying. So Just Average Kids. You can find Real World News on Facebook under Real World News TV. Also, you can find them under hottopicstalkradio.com. You can send your show ideas or even your comments directly to the host, Mr. Reggie Kearney or Chara and Tappin. But I'm hoping that you tune in next week on Tuesday. They've got another great show lined up for you, getting into some more newsworthy stories. And I'm hoping that you come back tomorrow night to tune in to Hot Topics Talk Radio with me and Yvonne Baker. Tomorrow night, it should be interesting. You know, we keep it live. We keep it going. So tomorrow night, Yvonne and I are asking the question, what made you lose interest in your mate?
I could dovetail on the Troop Brothers topic, right?
You heard the song, I'll be soaking.
I know what you're talking about.
So what?
Tony knows the song. I'll be soaking. Well, my stroke gave out, okay?
Aren't you a priest? What are you listening to music like that for?
Oh, boy.
Right.
I'm a minister.
Join me and Yvonne.
I'm a preacher, okay?
Join me and Yvonne Baker tomorrow night on Hot Topics Talk Radio. You can find us here on Facebook as well as on YouTube. So I'm hoping that you're joining. The show starts tomorrow night at 7 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 9 Central, 10 o'clock on the East Coast, right here under the Hot Topics Talk Radio Network. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and we hope to see you soon. All right. So
Tony,
you guys have a wonderful.
Let me know what you think after you watch that last episode of The Bachelor. I'm dying to hear, because you're gonna have to do a show on that.
Well, I'm gonna have to go through the whole series. I want to see the whole
don't
thing.
subject yourself to that.
No, it won't.
No.
You can look at the last show and look at last night's wrap up. That's all you need. You get the message.
Unless you just feel like binge watching.
I want to see how it led up to that. Maybe I'll go back 2 or 3 episodes. So I'll do that. All right. So that being said, tune in tomorrow night to Hot Topics Talk Radio. Come on back here next week on Tuesday for Real World News TV with Chara and Tappin and Mr. Reggie Kearney. Thank you so much again for tuning in.
Peace.
We will see you soon.
Night, everyone.
Good night.
Oh, boy.